back. And here we go with the two Joes. Welcome. All of our listeners, it's nice to see you again. Always a pleasure. We got Main Joe on the control board. And we got second place Joe over here in the corner. Yeah, my name's changed again, hasn't it?
Mojo.
Yeah, Mojo.
You giving yourself a new name. That's a good one. Yeah. Hey, everybody. I hope you guys are doing well. Thank you for joining us today.
On this Mother's Day. Thank you.
Yep. Mother's Day, Sunday evening. I got the pass from my wife. It wasn't... she's not having the best of Mother's Days, so it was difficult, but here I am. For you.
He made it.
I'm here for you.
That's right. That's right. It's not because this is a lot of fun. It's not because we do this for ourselves. It's for you. We care about you, the home listener.
And it is a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun. So, Main Joe, last night we had a jam.
Oh, we had a jam.
We had a jam session. That means musical instruments and singing and different people getting together. And,
yeah. It's the first time my wife met Fiddler Joanne. She showed up, and P. Joe was there. Jamaican Joe was there.
That's right. Dojo was there.
Most
of the night he was there.
Yeah.
Most of the night.
Yeah. It was epic too. It was really good.
It truly was. The
more magical moments.
Doesn't it seem that sometimes the magic in the music happens when one or two people depart, and then all of a sudden the remaining people get into this groove that is indescribable, whatever the word is.
You know, I keep saying that it has something to do with the, but you might be right. Because it happened more than once now, where a couple people leave and then we settle in, and it's magical.
And the music is great before our friends leave.
Yeah,
it's great.
It's fun.
Enjoyable. Because I was laying on my back a couple of times just listening to you and Check Joe go to town, and that was amazing. It was just amazing music. Listeners, hope you jam yourselves. That I hope you play an instrument, sing along, get into this music with your friends. It is worth it.
Yeah, if you do play an instrument, why aren't you jamming with your friends? It's so much fun, and it's not as hard as you might think.
It is not.
To play a few chords and someone pound out a rhythm, or And
I think, as we've talked about before, Main Joe, wasn't long ago when we started jamming, we had a hard time getting all the way through a song, didn't we?
That's true. That is true.
We would have to quit halfway through because nobody knew what to do. And then they just got a little better and a little better.
Right, and then we bought a little more equipment. I bought first generation iPad, and that was awesome because then I can have my scrolling lyrics, which I desperately need because I can't memorize songs easily. Yeah. This is not take too much time. And to have paper in front of you, well, that's okay, but man, I'm telling you what, scrolling lyrics on an iPad are a game changer. Once I got that, and then we bought some other equipment and other instruments, and now we're just rolling.
Yeah, it's not just for him either. They're like two or three people looking over his shoulder at the chords and the lyrics as they scroll by, and they all join in. As long as they can see it, they can join in.
I moved it away from you a little bit last night, and I think I had 4 people looking at that thing. I mean, it really, really helps. And then one of our other jams, they broadcast it up on the wall, projected, I should say. And then that works too. That helps.
That's right. Yeah, we're talking Michigan Joes. Yeah. So, Mother's Day. It is an absolutely gorgeous May evening here in Utah.
May in Utah.
Where we are.
Beautiful.
We've again, we're just blessed to be alive, blessed to be friends, blessed to play music, and would love to know your thoughts and opinions. I had a political guy I wanted to talk about, if you wouldn't mind, Main Joe.
Yeah, sure.
Goes by the name Andrew Yang. Do you know this gentleman? Have you seen interviews?
I've seen his Joe Rogan podcast he did.
Oh, I haven't seen the Rogan one, really. Okay. I've seen him on all the chat shows, CBS Sunday Morning and all that stuff. I haven't seen him on Rogan.
I'm pretty sure he did Rogan. Maybe I'm making that up. I thought I saw him on Rogan. And I thought I saw him. I've seen him in several different places on YouTube. He's a smart guy. He's an entrepreneur. He's started up a lot of businesses. That's what that means. I guess he calls himself a serial entrepreneur. So he's started up multiple businesses. So he understands the business world, and dare I say, better than our current president ever could or would understand firing up small businesses.
I believe Andrew Yang made tens of millions of dollars and did it in a legal, ethical way.
Yeah.
I believe he's one of the few millionaires out there who can look himself in the mirror and say, I did things all right. I never screwed anybody over. I never refused to pay my bills, that sort of thing. And
he seems like a good guy. He's intelligent. He speaks well. And his big thing that he's pushing is universal basic income. He thinks that's going to be a game changer. It's going to get us back on the right track as far as
that's his platform.
Helping people out and encouraging more businesses to be opened and more innovation to be done. And I'm not sure I'm 100% on board, although I do like the idea. I guess one of the reasons why I don't like the idea is because I've heard the argument that it's going to take away from the current social safety net. And one of my big things is I want that social safety net beefed up. I don't want it taken down for $1,000 a month, which I don't think would cover much. Basically that would cover my wife's medical expenses for a year, maybe,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. People are already starting to say it's not enough. Why go only 1,000? Why not 5,000?
Oh, are people saying that?
I've heard that. Yeah. And Andrew Yang reminds us, you got a family of 3, maybe an 18 and a 19-year-old and some parents. There's $48,000 right there coming in, and I don't go out and make the rest.
That's not one of the reasons why I'm not 100% on board. Is the amount? I mean, you got to start somewhere, and it seems like a decent amount. It would it would pay for podcasting equipment and maybe allow me to take a day off here and there to dedicate more time to this side business, which I think is kind of the point. Mm-hmm. But I'm more interested in is Medicare for all. Yeah, I think that's a higher priority for me, and even a higher priority than that even is we've got to have a plan or something to help curb our emissions and help the planet out as far as global climate change.
Fair enough. I think climate change is still one of those issues that when you come out totally in support of it or against it or want to do something about it or don't think it's a big deal, it's still so polarizing. If you want to be a politician, you've still got to be down the middle of the road on that one. We'll have to see. We're not going to shut down all coal overnight, all oil and gas overnight.
Well, of course not. I just want a plan.
I do too.
We can't continue the way we are. Mm-hmm. To deny it even exists, well, talk to the polar bears. Talk to the people in Miami who can't get insurance because their houses are going to be underwater soon.
Talk to the mayor of South Beach, Florida. It's a city. He grew up there. Mm-hmm. He's younger than us. He's like his late 30s. Mm-hmm. And he said back when he was a boy growing up in South Beach, Florida, that downtown would flood once a year at high tide during a full moon. Pretty much once a year. Now it floods every high tide. Every high tide, South Beach, Miami floods. Downtown, you're ankle deep in water going to Neiman Marcus and going to the subway, and the Subway sandwich, not the Subway. Of course, they don't have Subways.
They better not.
But it is a real thing, and it is happening. Climate change is happening. The evidence is there.
Right.
How severe is it? What is the timetable?
How much do we affect it?
How much? What can we do about it?
Those are all questions. Yeah. I think, but we need to start the conversation. We need to have a plan. We need to start putting things in motion before it's just simply too late. And they're saying now, within 12 years, it's going to be too late. And I heard a couple of years ago. I mean, David Letterman even brought it up. Whereas if we stopped all emissions right now, bam, no more emissions, the Earth would still continue to heat up. For the foreseeable future or whatever. It was like 2 more degrees or something like that. Yeah. So even back then, it was suggesting that it's already too late. And it might be too late. But again...
And what does that mean?
A planet. Well, too late means this planet won't be very inhabitable very soon. Maybe 50 years, maybe 100 years. I'll be dead before it gets that bad. But
yeah, you and I.
My daughter's children, they're gonna have to deal with this, and there's plenty of blame to go around. So let's not even go there. I mean,
oh yeah.
I myself, I'm living pretty high on the hog. I must admit, I use a lot of energy every single day.
And a lot of it is fossil fuels. A lot of it that I use every day.
Well, I remember, you know how we were talking with Shy Joe about solar, because he's a solar salesman, and it's kicking butt. And it's, that's a step in the right direction, and I'm happy to see that happening. And we were talking about those Tesla automobiles. I myself would just love to be able to afford one of those someday. Yeah. But we were asking, well, what about those batteries? When those batteries go bad in those cars, is that going to hurt the environment worse than burning all this fossil fuel? Well, guess what? I ran across a YouTube video where this guy did research on that very subject, and it was very interesting question.
This is, yeah.
And so what he determined basically was that depending on where you live, the electric car is going to be better, but it might take you longer to what's the word I'm looking for? To get over that difference. Like if you live in a state where your power comes from wind and solar, then within a couple of years you're going to that the amount of emissions that Tesla costs to produce and what it uses, you'll make up what your fossil fuel car will pollute in a couple of years. So in 2 years you're nothing but gravy after that. However, if you live in like West Virginia where all your electricity comes from coal, well, then it's going to take like 17 years before that car is going to pay off and be, less of a polluter than the fossil fuel car.
But still a net gain, net positive.
Yes.
Even though the slope is much more shallow in West Virginia than another state.
It's steeper slope. It takes longer to get over that hump where, okay, now I'm doing the globe a favor kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was interesting. And another thing he said that I thought was interesting, because we talked about getting rid of the batteries, he was basically saying that what it costs to produce, or the amount of emissions it takes to produce that car is so much greater than getting rid of the batteries, what that's going to cost the earth, that he didn't even consider that a factor.
Yeah.
So getting rid of those batteries isn't as big a deal as I thought it might be. Is what he was basically telling me.
That's very fair. Very fair.
Yeah, he did a really good job, I thought. It looks like he did his research, he looked into it, and he mapped it all out.
Yeah.
It's impressive. So,
and also to remember, the Chevy Volt and the Nissan Leaf and the Tesla, all these cars that they do not consume 1 ounce of gasoline, not a bit. Mm-mm. But please, listeners, don't think that they don't consume oil. It requires a lot of oil even to make a Tesla. Mm-hmm. A lot of oil.
A lot of energy.
You got all the plastics involved.
Tires, the metal.
The tires. Listeners, I don't know if you knew this. It takes 8 gallons of oil to make a tire.
Wow.
So please look that up.
I did not know that.
Just a regular car. Where I'm not talking a big dump truck or something.
Oh, yeah, sure. An average vehicle.
Average vehicle. There's 32 gallons of oil right there to make your electric car run.
I'm telling you. So, these people that are upset that fossil fuel jobs, but fossil fuels are going to be around.
They have to be.
Don't worry about it.
Listeners, love to know what you think about that. I mean, do you want us to get away from fossil fuels overnight? If you do, you're unrealistic.
It's gonna, it's already happening. We're already phasing things out. I mean,
we're heading that way, and things
embrace it. It's got to happen if we want a sustainable way to live. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So anyway, Andrew Yang, universal basic income. Mm-hmm. Of course, there's going to be a lot of people hear that and just immediately
socialism.
Yes, can't do that.
Can't do that. Yeah. How are you going to pay for it? How are you going to pay for it?
Exactly. Well, we can bail out trillion-dollar banks, and we can throw hundreds of billions of dollars at corporations who did criminal things, and then they give their CEOs bonuses. You know what? I'm cool with giving every 18-year-old and up $1,000 a month. I'm fine with that. You know,
That's
I'm okay with
that's
that.
kind of my argument for wanting Medicare for all. I'm like, look, if we can go to these 20-year-long wars with no end in sight, and we can do all this other stuff, God damn it, we can have Medicare for all. All these other countries are doing it. I don't want to hear we can't anymore. I want to see your plan. How are we going to do it? Because no just isn't an option anymore. You got caravans of people who need insulin going over to Canada to get fucking medicine. I mean, greatest country in the world. Is this the best we can do? Come on.
Wealthiest, most powerful country in the
sick
history
and
of the
tired
world.
of people saying we can't make it better.
Who's going to pay for it? I get tired of that question a lot.
Yeah,
Joe.
me too.
Who's going to pay
too.
for it? That has been.
There are ways
disproven.
to find the money. We can tax the Wall Street. We can tax bankers. We can tax the rich a little more. We can tax me a little more. I mean, I'm
willing to pay a little bit more.
If my neighbor, Big Joe, who needs insulin stuff, if I can help him out by paying a little more in taxes, damn straight I'm going to do it.
Absolutely.
I don't want to hear stories about people rationing their meds out because they can't afford it any longer, and then they get so depressed and so messed up because they can't take their psych meds, they kill themselves. That's a tragedy. And in this country that we claim is the greatest country on the planet, well, we've got some room for improvement, people.
Well, Main Joe, how do we reach those right-wingers like Shy Joe? How do we reach those Republicans who are against this?
Such a good question, dude. Such a good question.
You sit and talk to him. I think Shy Joe is even starting to soften up a little bit on a few of his views, mainly around healthcare.
Well,
it's a tough.
And my views are changing a little bit too. And I think you mentioned it is just talking. We got to talk it through. This is where I'm at. Yeah. This is my perspective, and hopefully they get a glimmer like, oh, I can see why he thinks that way.
That's why we do these podcasts, really.
That's why I think podcasts are taking off, because people want a longer, drawn-out conversation where you look at things from different aspects, different opinions, different points of view.
Yeah.
And, you can't do that in sound bites on CNN. And plus, CNN's, they're so biased nowadays, at least from my new perspective.
CNN is
kind of ridiculous.
Just as agreed. Let's look for those perspectives that you just mentioned, and let's throw some facts and figures on the ground. That's one of my favorite things. Shy Joe, a number of times he has refuted the facts and figures on the ground, and I just go, these are facts and figures, man. You can't, universal health services in America would be less expensive than what we're paying now.
And
that is a fact on the ground.
It's a study from a conservative group of rich people.
Well, it's a study from many different sources, and some of those have been from Republican-led committees.
Right.
It is less expensive than what we're
financed
spending
by
now.
Republicans, and the result came back. It's cheap. It's going to be cheaper.
They look at 10 years, and they say, well, it's going to. Bernie Sanders' Medicare for All is going to cost $32 trillion over 10 years. Yeah, okay. What are you leaving out there? The way we're going right now is going to be like 45 to 50 trillion.
Not to mention the money saved. Not to mention the workforce is healthier. People are healthier. People can work. What do you think is going to happen to the economy then? Oh, look, we got all these new workers. These new people firing up business with their universal basic income and their health care. They don't have to worry about staying at a job anymore to get health care. They can go and start a new business and still have their health care.
Yes.
I mean, how can that not help our GDP?
It would be nothing but a help, Main Joe, nothing but a help. Whether they're starting up a tech firm or a snow cone shack down the corner, it's just going to help. Both of them are going to help.
We need more snow cone shacks. Because as the globe gets hotter, people, we're gonna be wanting some snow cones, man. I love snow cones. Well, my daughter loves snow cones. I can't say that I love them that much.
African ice.
There's a couple flavors I like.
Yeah, I like the coconut and the pineapple. Those are good. Listeners, we'd love to know what you think. What we try to do here at the Two Joes podcast is not, preach to you that we know the answers. We actually try to ask more questions, and we'd love to know what you think down below. What do you think on climate change? What do you think is the number one political platform out there that's most important to you? Is it healthcare? Is it education?
Yeah.
Is it infrastructure? Is it, what is it?
Yeah,
let us know.
I guess the reason I brought up the healthcare issue, not the healthcare issue. I meant the global warming issue, because I'm not sure where Andrew Yang sits on that issue. Do you remember where he sits on that?
He's definitely on the Green New Deal side.
Oh,
of
is he?
things. Yeah,
he's kind of an advocate for that. Or
Yeah,
at least starting that conversation and coming up
knows
with
it's
some
real.
sort of plan. He's
knows
not in
it's
denial.
happening.
And
Yeah, he's not going to say, well, let's give the coal industry more subsidies.
Yeah.
He's not one of those at all.
yeah, because I just know this one guy I listen to. I think his name is David Pakman.
Mm-hmm.
Have you listened to him much?
Yeah.
He came up with a really good argument. He's just like, there's a lot of issues out there that are very important to people. Like abortion's a huge issue for people, and healthcare is another huge issue, and then climate change is another huge issue. But he made an argument that, look, if we don't get climate change figured out, if we don't figure out how to get the carbon out of our atmosphere, if we don't figure out how to live more sustainably, then all the others don't really matter much.
Yeah.
Which is it's a good point.
It's the problem there, though, when it comes to the electorate, is half the people shut off as soon as you say point of no return. We have to take care of it now because they're still waiting for the ocean to boil.
Yeah, I think they're still not quite bad enough for them to really get it. They hear about the polar bears, but look, I don't have polar bears around here, so I don't see them, sweating it. And
they hear the forest.
I don't live in
fires
Florida, so I don't see the never-ending flooding.
Yeah,
I don't live in a coastal town.
Louisiana.
I live in a mountain town. We still got snow this year, and
Yeah.
they're
That's
just
true.
not motivated yet, and
Exactly.
myself included, because
Exactly,
like I told you, I have a house that requires a lot of energy to run, man, and I haven't taken very many steps to lower my carbon footprint. I mean, in some ways,
last thing I did was blow the insulation into my attic. Mm-hmm. I went to Home Depot, rented the blower, and got the insulation.
you did it yourself?
Yeah.
Wow, you are the man. That's impressive.
I can do a lot more.
My wife and I, we got our house. We put more insulation in it because Obama had those kickbacks, right? So they helped you afford it a little more. So we were like, we got to take advantage of this. It really makes it affordable with this help. And so we did that, and we got new insulation put in and new windows put in. So we've taken steps. We haven't put solar on our house yet, though, and I really want to do that. But now my wife's talking about moving, and so now we're not sure we want to put the money into the house if we're not going to stay there, and it goes on and on. But
well, listeners, I've been to Main Joe's house. He's been there 19 years. He would get a good price for this place. It's a well-situated home.
And we love living there. That's part of the problem too.
It's the most unique thing I've ever seen. Listeners, please think of a cul-de-sac with one house on it, and this is where Main Joe lives. I can't describe it any other way. There's a cutout.
Half a cul-de-sac, yeah.
Half a cul-de-sac, and it's all just parking for Main Joe, who has yet to have one.
I ever have a jam out there. Yeah.
So
what are you doing to reduce your carbon footprint out there, people? And give me some ideas, give me some motivation, give me some inspiration. I want to do more, but I need a kick in the pants, I guess.
Yeah. The one simple thing I could start doing is recycling glass.
I've started that, yeah.
Did you?
Mm-hmm.
The
Finally.
big blue can out front, they don't take glass.
No, you have to.
So you have to take it to wherever, and I just throw it away because I'm lazy.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. But there's got to be places. But, I'll take used clothing down to the little donation bin.
Yeah.
And like I work from home.
Yeah,
so
that saves a bunch, right?
That saves a whole bunch right
I do
there.
too. So
I'll bet I don't use 2 gallons of gas a week.
And then when you work from home, you also don't shower as much, so that helps, right?
That helps too.
Once a week if I need it or not. Saves a lot of water.
Thank you, listeners. Please let us know what you think of Andrew Yang. Let us know what you think of climate change, politics in general. Thank you.